This is Yvonne Sims. In this episode of Strong and Courageous, I'll be featuring Shinica Thomas, an innovative woman. Now hear from Shinica, her passion and drive for innovation.
Hi, my name is Shinica Thomas, and I am innovative. My husband and I have been married for about 20 years, and it used to drive me crazy because he would always look at me when I told him something and say, "Who thinks of that? Nobody thinks like that." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, No, I don't mean that in a bad way. And I would take offense to it. But over the years, I have really come to realize that my thinking, I am very forward thinking and strategic. And so I come up with ideas and concepts and networking opportunities and partnerships that other people just don't think of. And I really had to embrace it as a gift God gave me and not something that was negative. I have always wanted to run for public office. And actually, I started out of high school. When I went to college, I moved to DC and all these things, and I interned for some wonderful, amazing women and did all these things. And then I got married, and life happened, and I never really got back to doing political things like I wanted to. And so 2-3 years ago, I had the opportunity. It was just a perfect time for me to be able to run for public office. And so I was approached and I was asked to run, and I asked my family what they thought, and they were all like, "Oh, you've always wanted to do it." And so I did. But what I didn't realize, that even though it was a perfect time for the election and it was a perfect time for me to run, I had a kid graduating from high school that year. I had a kid going off to boarding school that year. I had just finished working on a huge project. And so my life was really in a transition, and I didn't realize that. And although I'd worked on campaigns forever, and although I had done some, canvassing and phone calling, all these things, I had never been the candidate. And I was completely overwhelmed at what was going on in my life. So it was such a challenge. It was such a challenge for me, just even to be able to put myself out there like that. Lots of times I think women, are asked to do things, or we'll advocate. We'll go to school and we'll be a part of the PTA, and we'll do things for our kids, and we'll advocate for them in the classroom. And, I need a different teacher or smaller class sizes, or put my kid in the game, all these kinds of things. But who puts their whole life out there for the public, for the media, for the newspaper, to run for public office? This girl. This girl. One of the things that I absolutely do is I do everything in the same vein. I do things that I love and things that I really, really like. And the things that I don't like to do, I delegate them, honestly. It's hard sometimes to think, okay, I can delegate this, or that somebody else can do this, but I really try to work toward my strengths. All of the boards that I serve on and all of the things that I do in the community, I do them because I love them. Not just because I like them, not because somebody's counting on me to do them, but because I absolutely love them. And the other thing that I do is, when I'm torn between two choices, when I'm trying to decide if I should go to my kid's game or if I should go to this meeting that I have every month, I really try to look at it and say, what is the thing that I will never be able to do again? You're never going to go to your kid's homecoming parade. You're never going to get to see that 5th grade graduation again, but you have a board meeting every single month. So I try to make decisions based on opportunities that I might never have again, because tomorrow's not promised. All stages of life are a transition. One of the things, you talk about failure, and you talked about the campaign when I ran for the Wake Forest Board of Commissioners. That was my bucket list. Like, I absolutely wanted to run for public office. And in hindsight, it was the most amazing, fun thing I ever did. But when I was doing it, and I was canvassing, and I was writing out the campaign plan, and I was meeting with my team, and we were strategizing, there were nights that I was tired, and I didn't know how I was going to continue, and I didn't know what I was going to do, and I had kids going off to school, and lists to make, and stuff to pack, and, colleges to apply to with them, and all these things, because I was still a mom, and I was still a wife. And so I had to ask for help also, and sometimes I think we're absolutely afraid to ask for help. It's okay. Like, I had my girlfriends come over, and I was like, "Listen, I'm gonna need y'all to come over and help me fold some laundry today, for real. Like, we can have wine while we do it, but we don't have to fold some laundry. Like, y'all want to get with me, y'all want to talk, come over and do this." And if you have true girlfriends or true people in your life who care about you, they don't care about coming over to fold your clothes and hang up some jeans in the closet with you, because they really care about you. And so for me, I really just had to learn to ask for help. I talk a lot about being your own superhero. And to me, that doesn't mean, go out there and save the world. But what it does mean is recognize that you have unique gifts and talents, and you can use those in certain situations, and you don't have to be somebody else. You are your own unique person with your own gifts and your own talents, and they are awesome and they are amazing. And that's what I try to do when I'm having those failure days or those failure moments or those failure adventures. Because even though I didn't win the seat on the Wake Forest Board of Commissioners, the momentum that I gained and the opportunities that were presented to me because of the impact that I made in my community have far, far exceeded anything that I believe I could have done on the Wake Forest Board of Commissioners. When you talk about strength and courage, I think everyone has to define what that looks like to them. Don't let somebody else define any of those things for you. What your strength is what your strength is. And how you choose to be courageous is how you choose to be courageous. I choose to be courageous in taking the time to not follow a corporate track and stay at home and work part-time and take care of my kids and raise my family. And some people might not think that takes courage, but it absolutely does, because who knew that my marriage would last 20 years? Who knew that, my husband wouldn't, fall off a cliff yesterday and I didn't have a job, or, that my kids would turn out amazing. We all have our things and our quirks and our worries and our fears. And so don't let other people define what courageous looks like and what strength is. It's what you have inside of you that you use to move forward. It's always about moving forward. Everybody has transitions. Everybody, does things in their life and has different stages. And it takes something different for every stage. And it takes something different to make it through every transition. And don't let other people define what that is for you. Define it for yourself. Strength and courage is what you think it is and not what other people say it is for you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Strong and Courageous. I'm your host, Yvonne Sims. To hear more stories of strength and courage, visit my website at YvonneSims.com or my Facebook page at Yvonne Sims. Until next time, beloved, be strong and courageous.